Wow, good morning, everyone. For those of you who are here for the first time, that's what we call church. My name is Susan Overland, and I am your assistant minister. And in all seriousness, it is my honor to welcome you to the Center for Spiritual Living in San Jose, where we are transforming lives, building dreams, and revealing love. All that we ask is that you stay open to the possibility of changing your entire life by changing your mind. Welcome home. If it really is your first time here, I want to extend a very special welcome to you and hope that you will take a moment after service to visit our concierge desk. It's right on the other side of that glass window, and pick up a welcome packet and perhaps sign our guest book, have a cup of coffee, meet a new friend, and be in community with us. I hope that somewhere today between the music and the message, something speaks to you and you come back and see us again. For those of you who are joining us live stream, good morning, our live streamers. We're happy you're with us as well. Your moderator today is Max Overland. So if you have any questions, please talk to Max and he will get the right answers for you. Maybe, or maybe not. No. Love you, honey. Just kidding. I think that's all I have to say other than, again, welcome. We're really glad you're here. And we love to do community. We love to be in community. We love to celebrate community. So please take a moment to say hi to someone and maybe meet someone you haven't met before.
Good morning. Good morning, San Jose. Wow, I don't know about you, but my heart's pounding from all that amazing music. I'm going to have to dial it down just a little bit. My name is Mitzi Silverberg, and it is my honor to serve as your practitioner today. This is a wonderful day of immense celebration. I will pray us in to service, but preceded by that will be a chant, which will lead us into 2 minutes of silence. Please join us.
God is more than this.
That immense divine presence is in this room right now. It's undeniable. I feel it coursing through me right this moment. It's in the music. It was in the majesty of those voices that we just heard. It's in and through all things, everywhere and always. It is that one presence, that one divine guidance, that one God that knows only good and wholeness. And as I know that presence is here right now, it is in and through me with such undeniable force, that indwelling spirit. As I know that is true for me, I know that is true for each person in this room, as well as every single person that can hear my voice and beyond. That divine connection where there is absolutely no separation. I claim a healing today unlike any other day, that any perception of separateness, of divide, of a barrier, vaporizes into only love. Anything that stands in our way of manifesting our dream is merely an unbelief that needs to be healed. I don't need to pray for love or abundance or wholeness. It's already in existence. I only need to remove from my mind a belief that keeps me from seeing, acknowledging, and feeling what's already there. I am filled with such overflowing joy and gratitude for knowing this truth and for accepting and claiming that the healing arm of our center is about to expand here today. I claim this, I affirm this, I declare this to be the only truth. I completely and totally release my word unto the law because I know I have spoken it and it's already done. Nothing else needs to occur. God's already got it. It is beautiful and holy and healed. I am surrounded with friendship, love, and beauty. Enthusiasm, joy, vitality, and inspiration are in everything I do.
God said, I will not suffer thy foot to be moved. The Lord keepeth thee, will never slumber nor sleep. For the Lord is thy keeper, the Lord is thy shade upon thy right hand, upon thy
Are you weepy? Yes, totally. Hi. Good morning, everybody. I am David Bruner. I'm the senior minister and the spiritual director here at the center, and I'm easily the luckiest man in the world. They actually pay me to come here. And I'm very grateful that you're here with me, which makes you probably the second most lucky person in the world. While I'm filled with such happiness, I'm also extremely sad. I'm sad for all the people who missed that. Because I cannot recreate that. And watching it online later on will not be able to recreate that. And so I'm very grateful that we've had a moment to have that. So early on in ministerial training, they told us that ministers should never talk about what's going on in their life while it's happening. Wait till you have mastery. What are you laughing about? But I've learned something, that conventional wisdom tells us not to do that, but you're not conventional. No. It's been my understanding as for the last 15 years of hanging out with you, that as long as I'm straight up with you and not stuck in the problem, but just giving you an idea of where I am and whatever the challenge is, that you've got my back. Is that accurate? Yes. Yeah, okay. A lot of you have written to ask me about my mother. You've written on Facebook and texted me and email and even some voice messages. And rather than me reply to any one of you individually, let me just say to you all, it's very clear that I need to go to Missouri, and so I'm going tomorrow. And I'll be there until Thursday. And on Thursday, I'll fly back to San Jose, get in my car, and drive to the Kenton, Maryland Agape Heart Space Retreat. And it's great because I just get to be there and be a normal person because they're the stars. And then I will head back home. And this is a very inconvenient week for me to be doing all this because I'm in escrow. Yeah, I know, you all cast some good spells with your... I'll talk more about that in a bit. But what I learned early on about my mom early on this year is that she has something called an abdominal aneurysm. And they didn't say if it breaks, they said when. When it breaks, she will transition within minutes. But they said it could happen today, and it could be 3 years from now. And so I was grappling with, is this the week to go? Can I put it off a bit? And clearly this is the week to go. So I'm heading there tomorrow, and I'm very grateful I'm going to have a chance to be with her. Now, I'm telling you this, but not just because she was my mother. She's also, she's one of those role models in my life. She has been consistent. She has integrity. What she says and what she does always matches, always. On the rare occasion when it didn't, she cleaned it up very quickly and brought her word and her actions back into alignment. And that inspires me. That's the kind of man that I aspire to be too. So I'm going to tomorrow. And what I'm learning about this is maybe something that's helpful for you. Maybe you've got something going on in your life that's got your attention. Maybe it's your child or back to school. Maybe it's something with your relationship. Maybe it's you're embarking on a new ministry. You're entering into licensed practitionerhood. Maybe you're worried about money. What has helped me when facing things is a simple motto that I got from a teacher many years ago, and that was, when I look back on this in 10 years' time, what will I wish I would have done? When I look back on Monday, August 18, 2014, in the year 2024, what will I wish I would have done? I know. I will wish I would have gone to Missouri. So that's where I'm going. My prayer is that Mauricio will have the house packed by the time I get back. That's probably going to be even harder for y'all to pray for than me to get this place. I'm going to talk more about that in a little bit after he leaves. So last night and the night before, both nights in a row, I was awakened by a song. And I mean like awakened. Not awakened like I hear the background music of a song, you know, or a humming or a tune. The kind of thing that will actually cause this last song we heard to wake me up again. But I've heard it 2 nights in a row. And I didn't hear it such that it would just lull me back to sleep as the background music to the fantasy going on in my mind. No, what was going on is it was saying, get up. Get up. The song is a Buddhist chant, and the words, and all of them kept coming to me. The words are, I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of harmony and awareness. I take refuge in these 3 jewels, which is the perfect oneness of body, speech, and mind. I take refuge in these. And that's really what our topic today is about. Don't limit yourself. To not limit oneself is to move into taking refuge in these 3 jewels. I take refuge in the Buddha, I take refuge in the Dharma, I take refuge in the Sangha. The songs that were sung earlier are My Help Cometh from the Lord, and we'll hear some very traditional Christian-type language. And it's interesting that is not counter to, but complementary to the idea of taking refuge in the Buddha, because it's all the same thing. Whether you believe in one God, or many gods, or it's all God or no God, we're talking about the same thing. And that is simply, you are a place where the thing itself is, and has shown up to do something it has never done before. What are you doing with it? So I take refuge. That's what I'm looking at this week. I'm taking refuge. I'm taking refuge in the Buddha. The Buddha means, could mean Siddhartha, the actual man, but more often than not, when people take refuge in the Buddha, what they're taking refuge in is they're taking refuge in potential, possibility. When we take refuge in the Dharma is the path or the practice. And when we take refuge in the Sangha, that is the aware, awakened, enlightened community. So potential, practice, community. That's how we can move into non-limitation or open possibility thinking and creation. It's my intention today to leave you with some ideas that you may actually use. If you're new here, let me share with you, welcome, and it's really important that you consider this, not to believe one word I say. Now, this community is very good at that. They've already been practicing. They don't believe anything I say. And I find that to be really healthy, because I'm asking you not to believe what I say, but take what I say and apply it and see if it works. If it works, excellent. Try it some more. If it doesn't work, come back next week, because I'll have something new. Maybe even opposed to what you hear today. You guys know about that. That's the world. Low carbs, no. High carbs, no. Zone, no. Counting calories. They all work. And we have to be comfortable with ambiguity and paradox. Taking refuge in the Buddha is taking refuge in possibility, potential. When I think about possibility and potential, I often think of a man named Ned who was in a series called Pushing Daisies. Pushing Daisies was one of those series that was so acclaimed it should never have been canceled. Pushing Daisies, I believe, only had 2 seasons, maybe 3, but there were 2, and it is remarkable in its story. Basically, Pushing Daisies is about a man named Ned whose mother drops dead in the kitchen when he's a little boy, and he goes to touch his mother, who's now dead, but in touching her, she comes back to life. And he's so excited about her coming back to life that he doesn't realize that this gift that he has to bring people back to life has a catch, and that is, if he doesn't touch them again within 30 seconds when they go back to death, someone in the immediate vicinity will die, sort of a karmic balance. So he touches his mother after she dies. She comes back to life, but then he doesn't touch her again where she dies again, but the neighbor's dad across the street dies. But he discovers very quickly that he has the power to touch and bring back to life, but he has the power also to touch and cause death. Now, he is a pie maker, and he owns a shop called the Pie Hole. Ned, don't you want to watch this show? It's fantastic. It's beautiful. And it's narrated by Jim Dale, who's a British man who did the audiobooks, every Harry Potter audiobook, and even won awards for developing the most characters of any recording ever. And Jim Dale does the narration. What we learn about Ned is he's faced with baskets of rotting, moldy strawberries. But with his magic touch, he touches them, and they revert back to fresh, sweet, luscious, delicious, nutritious fruit. Now, I'm thinking about Ned when I'm thinking about, I take refuge in the Buddha. I take refuge in potential. And every one of us is Ned. We can. Actually, every one of us has the power to bring back to life. Every one of us is faced with something that's fraying or raveling or disheveling or stressful. You and I have the power to raise it, but we also have the power to kill things. How will you use that? That's the power that was given to us. That is the potential, that is the Buddha, that is the thing itself. So I take refuge in using it as much as I can remember to praise and not to destroy. I take refuge in the Dharma. The Dharma is the practice. If you've been around me for any length of time, you'll know that for me it's very important that my spirituality, my philosophy, my faith, my way of life should have with it applicable process, which means if my religion or my spirituality or my philosophy is not inspiring me into action, into actionable steps that makes a real impact in my life and the lives of those that matter to me, then what my religion or my philosophy or my faith is really doing is lulling me into being entertained or distracted or on board for an hour or however long I'm hanging around it. But it's really not anything but a distraction. For me, it's important that it actually impacts my life and the lives of people that matter to me. We got a lot of that going on around here. I take refuge in the Dharma, which is my practice. And I'm constantly being faced with opportunities to practice my practice. In fact, it's been my prayer sometimes to pray for bigger problems, because with bigger problems come bigger breakthroughs and bigger miracles. But careful what you pray for. Sometimes they're accelerated. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? They're accelerated. I see it in relationships a lot lately. All of the friction is very accelerated right now. Sometimes we say the moon is in Uranus, or is that what they say? Mercury's in Uranus, or it's in retro. Yeah, or maybe it's just accelerated transformation, because you've been praying for things to be different, and now they're showing up as different. The question is, are you showing up as different? Because if you're not, then nothing's going to be different. So all of these challenges that emerge are an opportunity for me and for you to show up the way that we've been praying to be. Rich, happy, healthy, sexy, beautiful, kind, loving, supportive, generous. So last week I mentioned that Mauricio and I are moving back to the South Bay, and that and I said I wanted this house. I found that this is like the dream house, like Barbie's dream house, but not so plastic and not so pink. And Mauricio and I were faced with two amazing properties. One is in a great neighborhood. It's a great price, great storage. Everything about it is awesome, except we don't love it. but we could be happy there. And it's smart money. The other one was like, oh my God. You know, like, oh my God. So I said, because you guys are wicked spellcasters, I said, I want that house. And someone in the back yelled, done! And then B.J. King, licensed practitioner since God was a girl. BJ's not here, is she?
No, she's not.
She's in Gilroy. She's terrorizing some other community. B.J. King was sitting right in that chair where Mitzi is. She was practitioner of the day. B.J. King, when she heard me say, I want that house, B.J. says, that or something better. And I thought, yeah, she's right, but shh. Because I want that house. And B.J. said, that or something better. There's something you may want to know about B.J. She is undeniably, unreservedly unafraid of me. And she was not going to yield to her principles and values. She was not going to yield to it, no matter how much I begged or persuaded you to do the same. But when I'm talking about I take refuge in the Dharma is the practice. BJ's spot on. I take refuge in the practice. And the practice for us is using mental laws, but also spiritual laws. And mental laws is where we learn to handle our earth-based needs, to pay your bills, balance your checkbook, to heal the cuts, to speak more kindly. It's where we can actually manipulate matter to have things show up the way that we want them. That's mental science. And then BJ was talking about spiritual science, which is this or something better. Spiritual science is actually what we're going to explore in the class Inward Journey. There are 40 people who have been approved to move forward, and I'm hoping that all 40 of you will sign up, actually register to take it. We're going to do a 30-week journey where we're exploring not just mental laws, because, by the way, you guys, you know how to use mental laws. We know how to use them. And if you're new here and you don't yet know, we will teach you quickly. But spiritual laws often seem to be in opposition to mental laws. Spiritual laws teach us that the master has no preferences. You will realize you are a master when instead of wanting what you want to occur, you prefer what's occurring. A true master has no preferences but prefers what is occurring. Because whatever will occur is going to be the perfect thing, no matter what. The master knows that the perfect thing is going to occur. So on one hand, we've got mental laws saying, I want that house. There's one life, common to all, in and through all things, and it's in that house showing up as my good, and so it is. And you're like, yes! And then someone reminds me of spiritual laws is, have no preferences. The perfect thing's going to occur. And I said, wait a minute, there's a problem here. And that's the teaching today. Taking refuge in the Dharma, taking refuge in the path of the practice is the revelation that in order to be in a place like this, we must become accustomed to and comfortable with ambiguity and paradox. We must learn to live with ambiguity and paradox. You're going to say, but, and you're going to go, yep. This, yes. And that, yes, but, yes. Did you guys get that? Yes is the only answer. So, have no preferences. Well, I still want that house. And we're in escrow on that house. That's the one we're in. But what I know, too, every time I've actually made something happen, it comes with this whole set of problems. I realize that. The problems of today, even the ones I've got today, the problems I have today were the solution to yesterday's problems. The problems of today were the solutions to yesterday's problems. So I must learn to have no preferences, but to prefer what's occurring. So what we found out is that we had, both offers had been accepted in both houses. And so Mauricio came out onto the patio at our home in East Bay, and he said, this is, and this, and what do you think? And I went, I was hearing BJ. I was thinking, I want to try that. I want to take that route. I said, I don't have an opinion. He said, I need you to have an opinion. And I said, okay, well, the perfect thing's going to occur. Because I know how it works anyway. Whatever he thinks is best is what we're going to do. This is why we get it, but it's perfect. It's perfect. I get to have a little bit of a temper tantrum and stamp my feet and say that, and then he is totally, absolutely, amazingly persuasive and charismatic to the point that whatever he wants makes me happy. It's the perfect marriage. I mean, when he's happy, I'm delighted. And when I'm happy, he's relieved. Apparently, there's some married people in the room. So, I take refuge in the Buddha. That's how I don't limit myself. I take refuge in the Buddha. I remember I'm like Ned. I can actually bring things back to life. I take refuge in the Dharma. That is my practice. I practice my practice. And this week I'm going to be really clear that the way I practice that is to be comfortable with ambiguity, which makes me very excited to go to the Heart Space Retreat. I'm so grateful you're holding this space for us, so I can be present for a couple of days. I won't be able to stay for the whole thing because I do have to go. That's why I've just divided it. And that leaves us with the Sangha. I take refuge in the Sangha. The Sangha is community. Robin Williams. Why is the world so impacted? Well, none of us really knew him. He was a celebrity. But you know, in the Sangha, the enlightened community, he wasn't a stranger. He was in my house many times. I knew him. I laughed with him I cried with him many times. But he wasn't just a celebrity that was very talented. He was a very troubled man who had severe depression. And most of us didn't know, because if we had known, we would have shown up differently. And I know about depression, not me personally, but I know people who are afflicted with it. It's horrible. And it can be compounded in a place like this because it gets pushed way down because you don't want people to know that you've got this dirty little secret. Our job is ours in community and Sangha is to create a space for folks like Robin Williams who were so depressed they took the only alternative they knew, for us to create a space where they realize they have more alternatives. And at the same time, to not go down into the ditch with them. This is where we have to find that the place of ambiguity. We get down to help them out, but we don't get down and stay there with them. It requires a delicate balance. But when we take refuge in the Buddha, when we take refuge in potential, we'll have what it takes to do that. So Robin Williams' passing has impacted me as much as Malaysia Airlines Flight 17. I don't know what to do with it. I don't know what to do. So my goal again is to move through the world like I did right after that airline was shot down over Ukraine-Russian border. I'm just going to move slower this week. I'm going to go see my mom. I'm going to sit in a nursing home and sneak in Taco Bell. Because it makes her happy. And I'm going to pray that you'll come help me pack. And I don't have a stronger or better prayer than that, so let's do it now. I'm really, really grateful to be here in my Sangha, in my intentional community. I'm grateful to speak my word, because my word is my promise, and it's the thing for which I take a stand. I promise to be my practice in action, to be the man who's living the life that is the potential of the refuge of the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. And as I take a stand for that in my own life, it impacts my friends, my neighbors, and strangers around me, my community, both online and in person. And the stand that I take now is that we are each, anyone right now within earshot of me, we are each active participants in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, which makes us very rich because we now have 3 jewels, and these 3 jewels are the perfect oneness of body, speech, and mind. And so in my world, while there is much delight, there's also much sorrow. While there is much hope, there's also much questioning. But the power of a community like this is, in the center of it, strawberries can go from moldy and rotten back to ripe and delicious and nutritious. That's the kind of world I want to live in. And that's a world worth sharing. And so it is. So I want to thank you for your generosity. Last week was the highest collection we've ever had in a summer month. So thank you for your generosity. I'm grateful that the choir is back in position and back on our stage after having taken the summer off. And as we're about to enter into September, before the ushers come forward, I want to tell you what's going to happen this afternoon. Today we are installing 4 new licensed practitioners and 2 newly transferred practitioner emeriti. We are installing our 3 new ministers, all of them into our spiritual community, and we are having our licensed practitioners who are current, and if you're a visiting practitioner, you too will be able to stand wherever they are and recommit their vows to their sacred walk. I'm grateful for that. Before we do that, though, I want to invite you to join me in the sharing of our gifts and tithes and offerings. And as I said, last week was a stellar and record-breaking, generous offering, which allows us to move forward into writing our budget for 2015. Now, the treasurer, who's in the choir behind me, and the vice treasurer, who's in the congregation in front of me, have both double dog dared me to make today's collection bigger. So I am secretly taking that on, but I will take that on. I'm not asking you to. I want you to take on, in your mind, generosity and my house being packed. And I'm taking on my treasurer and vice treasurer, who are charged by you to keep this company, this corporation, this community vibrant, that they are vibrant indeed. So will you join me in that, and whatever you do, won't you please say with me our giving affirmation? Everything I touch today prospers. I touch everyone and everything in my thoughts, support and compassion. I am surrounded by goodwill, kindness, and support.
Thank you so much. Thank you, choir and Dave and our musicians. Thank you all. We have some brief Sunday announcements for you, and then we will go on with our installation.
Hi, my name is Joanna Medin, and I am co-chairing the auction with Ann Marshall, and our banner today is Ron Wade. We would like to personally invite you to attend the auction. Tickets are $35. They include dinner and dancing, DJ, and a lot of fun. There'll be a live and silent auction. And a few of the items that are really fun is who here loves a massage, some great jewelry, a night at the Improv with Reverend Susan, 5 coaching sessions with Dr. David. How about a Disney trip to Anaheim, bocce ball, mani-pedis, lots of wonderful things. So please come out to Fellowship Hall and buy your ticket.
And on a totally different topic, I'm Dorcas Kelly, and I head up the community outreach team for CSL. Woohoo! We're the ones that put on various projects during the year. So we did the stuffed animals for foster kids and wrote the letters for the military. And most recently, we did the project gathering the school supplies for the kindergartners. And I wanted to let you know the results because they absolutely blew me away. So originally we had targeted 84 kindergartners at Dorsa Elementary School. That's one of the lowest income schools in all of Santa Clara County in the Alum Rock area. And I was thinking maybe, we'd get like 40 or 50 backpacks. Well, we got 150 backpacks. Oh! I've been told 153. They're actually here. 153. And so I want to rattle off some other numbers that will just kind of amaze you. All this stuff was in my garage, and I counted it all out. So you can imagine my garage is a lot emptier now. 828 pencils and 173 erasers, 114 pairs of scissors, 307 glue sticks. We had 112 notebooks and workbooks and activity books, 140 folders, 130 packs of Kleenex, 121 boxes of crayons, and on and on and on and on and on. So a lot of stuff. And all of this was donated by you, and your generosity is just overwhelming. Thank you very much. So the last piece of this is that not only can we give the school supplies for the 84 kids at Dorsa, we're also able to sponsor 63 kindergartners at San Antonio Elementary. So 147 kids will have school supplies this entire year due to you and your generosity. Thank you so much. All right, sorry. One final thing is I want to do a shout out for the outreach team. How many folks on the outreach team are here? Gabrielle, I know, is here. Larry's back here. Couple of folks. It's a fabulous team. If you want to join us, we meet the second Sunday of every month after second service. Would love to have some new team members. So come make an impact. Thank you.
Thank you. And a quick thank you to all of you as leaders of these teams. We really are grateful for your generosity of time. What's coming up this week? On Wednesday night, we have our Wednesday evening free spiritual practices class. This Wednesday is a night of interplay facilitated by Suzanne Mulcahy back there and her beautiful Jan. And it's fun. It's spirituality through movement and play, and it's from 7 to 8, and it's fun. Did I mention that? And on Wednesday also, from 5:45 to 6:30, Dr. David will begin his forgiveness drop-in coaching. He will be in Missouri this week, but the first evening will continue as planned, facilitated by Sarah Moselle. And then Thursday night, we have our Awaken Thursday. You can be with us for an hour of silent meditation from 7 to 8, followed by a meal that's been prepared for you, which we also celebrate in the silence. Friday night, our Eat, Play, Love Women's Connection will be dining out at the Grapevine in Willow Glen. I believe that they would like an RSVP just for reservation purposes, so you can get information about that online. On Sunday, the 24th, Reverend Maureen Ross will begin her Let's Talk About series, and you can get more information about that online or from Reverend Maureen. Friday, the 29th, mark your calendar, our youth and family ministry, facilitated by Reverend Tony Cormier, will be hosting a family fun back-to-school night. So it's an opportunity for our families to get together, meet other families, kids to meet kids, and just have a really great time before the craziness of school begins. And let's see, classes. I almost forgot, Doris. Classes begin the week of September 15th, and you can register now. The registration is already open online. We're offering 4 classes this fall. Foundations, which I will facilitate. That's the entry-level class. If you've already had it, you can audit, or it's the prerequisite for the other classes. Building a Healing Consciousness will be offered by Reverend Tony. Power of Decision by Reverend Megan. And then, of course, Inward Journey, which Dr. David will facilitate, and there are prerequisites for that, so you want to check carefully with Reverend Doris on that. She'll be available, or you can also see the concierge after service to help you get registered. One more quick thing, we have a very special event happening on September 7th. It was one of those offers that we couldn't refuse. We were contacted by Joel Fotinos, who's the publisher. It's Tarsha, correct? He's the publisher, and Reverend Joel called and asked if we would like to co-sponsor an event called Energies of Love, where we have 4 of the best-selling authors coming together to help you explore the use of energy, medicine, meditation, self-empowerment. Those 4 authors are Donna Eden, David Feinstein, Howard Falco, and our own Reverend Dr. Edward Filhune. See, they're interchangeable. They really are. So that's on September 7th. And I think that's it, other than if there's something in your life for which you would like prayer, please have a seat in the chapel area, and a licensed or newly licensed practitioner will be happy to pray with you after service.
So, last announcement before we move forward. Our denomination is doing a worldwide cultural assessment, values assessment survey. And it's important for the denomination to find out what are your values, what matters to you, because it's possible that some of our denomination's practices and ways of doing business are not in alignment with your values. But we can only know that if we know what your values are. Well, our leadership team here at the center has asked the denomination if we could sequester the information they got about Clark Street, about this particular community, so that we might find out what is your specific values, yours here, and those online as well, so that while we're writing our 2015 budget and creating strategic plans, we take into consideration that do we have the right staff? Do we have the right building? Do we have the right parking lot? Do we have the right music, etc.? So my request is that you use this insert that is in your bulletin, and please, before the 20th, because it closes on the 20th, that you take the survey. It takes about 15 minutes, and you can do so completely anonymously. So don't withhold. Hold as if you did. Don't hold back. Tell the survey exactly what matters to you, and that will make an impact for us here at Clark Street. Thank you. Now, here's what I'd like to do. In my 15 years here, we do these ceremonies at the end of service, and here's what I've learned. I personally have often felt like I'm keeping some of you hostage when you need to go to brunch. But that has not served the people who are being installed. It has diminished the ceremony. I'm not doing that today. So what I'm about to do is I'm about to create a lot of noise in the room, so those of you who need to leave can leave with grace. But for those of you who are going to stay with us and help us to install and celebrate the rededication and our licensed practitioners, please stay and start moving forward. Does that work for all of you? So in order for those of you who need to leave, if you have children, please don't leave without them. Yeah? Oh, and if you have children, now might be a good time for you to go pick them up and then bring them in here. If they're noisy, they're welcome, because they let me in here. So why not? So would you all turn and say hello and goodbye to someone near you? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Would you all please close the doors? Mitzi, would you take a moment as the coordinator of practitioners to reestablish intention in the room? Thank you for staying. I'm glad to have all of you here. Mitzi?
Taking just a moment to take a deep breath in. Oh, I so feel that energy, the excitement, the celebration in the room. And for just a moment, might we anchor this time that is so holy and so sacred for the moment that it is, that we have those amongst us that have answered a very specific and very holy call to each one of their positions. And along with them, their family and friends have also taken a commitment of support for the call that they have answered. And this is a time to honor all of that and to set our intention as we welcome to this spiritual community those amazing folks. And I am filled with such gratitude, overjoyed to know that this is God's work we're up to. And I completely and totally release my word of celebration into the law, for there really is nothing else I need to say. And if this prayer resonates with you, I ask you to anchor it with me by saying, "And so it is."
Thank you. Thank you, Mitzi. So friends, the professional prayer practitioner is one that has dedicated his life and her life, time and energies into helping. It is the prayer practitioner's business to uncover, recover, and discover God in every situation. God is not sick or poor or unhappy. God is never confused or afraid or out of place. Will all who are licensed prayer practitioners with the Centers for Spiritual Living, either here at this location or visiting practitioners, would you please stand wherever you are in the room? Love it. So to those of you standing, I ask you, do you so consecrate yourselves to practice the art and science of affirmative prayer, to abide by the code of ethics for religious science, to conduct yourselves with dignity and integrity and devotion, to serve whomever may come upon you and call upon you in time of need, regardless of race, gender, faith, orientation, or station in life, to keep the confidence of those who come to you for help, unless you receive their explicit permission to otherwise do so? And do you commit yourself to regular and faithful prayer so that you may expand the expression of your life in loving service to God? If so, say, "I do." I do. Excellent. Would you please come and join me on the platform and stand with these practitioners behind me? Just showing us, just to give a sense of the temperature of the room. I'm not talking about 72 degrees. How many of you here are guests because a friend or a family member is being installed? Welcome. Thank you. I'm grateful that you're here. So what we'll do now is we're going to install It kind of sounds like we're going to hammer them to the pulpit, right? That's kind of what happens. We're officially installing them into our team that's in service to this community, and we could not do. Wow, I could not do what I do without you. We could not do what we do without you. When I call your name, I would like you to come stand on the floor in front of me, and then have your witness. Michelle, yes. Do you mind if I move this? Would you move that back? Stand on the floor and then have your witness stand behind you. Because what is the custom here at the center is that your witnesses, it's usually your family or your dear friends, the people who have stood by you while you were here so many hours in classes and doing hospital, hospice, and nursing home visitations, and they've been keeping your household going. oftentimes they're the one who really should be placing the stole on your shoulders. So when I call you by name, you'll stand on the floor and your witness will stand behind you. Does that work for you? So I'm calling forward Karen Fedor. Julia Snow. Sandy Swanson. Bar Valdez. And we have two practitioners who are transferring from North Hollywood, both of whom are practitioner emeritus, which means they've been practitioners for more than 20 years, and they are now being installed as our practitioners. Bill McEntee. And Janet McAtee. So each of you standing in front of me has chosen to serve the Center for Spiritual Living and Centers for Spiritual Living by continuing to live by our faith tradition. And each of you has followed your heart and answered your calling in your own unique way, which is valuable to the center. Do each of you today to promise to the best of your ability to uphold your holy nature in everything you say and do, and in everything that you are, according to the same vows that our other prayer practitioners took just a moment ago. If so, please say, I do.
I do.
Then, I now charge you, Karen Fedor, and place the stole over her shoulders. I now charge you, Julia Snow. I now charge you, Sandy Swanson. I now charge you, Barbara Valdez. I now charge you, Bill McEntee. I now charge you, Janet McEntee, to go forth into the world that all who come in contact with you know your holy nature by the way you move through the world. So go forth and please join your colleagues on the back of the stage. So, Reverend Tony Cormier, would you please stand here on my right? And Reverend Susan, will you stand here on my left? Oh, it's the first time they've ever done what I've asked. You know that's not so, right? So now we're going to install our three ministers. They were licensed by our denomination over the summer, which means they were made ministers. These are who I'm about to call. They were made ministers over the summer, but they were not yet our ministers. Will Reverend Megan Dake Morrell please come stand here, and would your witnesses please come stand behind you? Reverend Doris Hoffman. Reverend Maureen Ross. So you see before you these three beautiful women, each of whom is becoming part of the ministerial healing arm of this community. They have, without doubt, they have committed themselves to God and to the center and to each of you. They have the support of their family to do so. And they know that what's important to this community is family comes first and the center comes second. The family is now standing behind them because the family will often need to remind them of that. So I'm going to talk over your shoulder, three ministers, as you look to the congregation. As ministers of Center for Spiritual Living, do you consecrate yourself to everything to which the licensed prayer practitioners have? If so, say, I do. Do you dedicate yourself to abide by the code of ethics for Center for Spiritual Living ministers? If so, say, I do. And do you dedicate yourself to your high calling and to the conduct of your office with dignity, integrity, and severe devotion? If so, please say, I do.
I do.
Please remain there. Will the core council of the center please stand? And I am here, and there are two others behind me. So the six of you have chosen to serve the Center for Spiritual Living San Jose by continuing to live by the principles we each teach and by remaining good stewards of the center's business. And being a core council member is a sacred obligation, and we're very grateful to you, to the six of you. So do you, Kevin, Larry, Liz, Patty, Ron, and Suzanne, accept Reverend Megan, Reverend Doris, and Reverend Maureen as staff ministers in order that they might help fulfill that vision? If so, please say, I do. I do. Will the congregation please rise, even if you're a visitor? I present to you Reverend Megan, Reverend Doris, and Reverend Maureen. Your core council is about to sign a letter of call for M, Do, and Mo, as we call them. And I need to know, before the core council signs this letter of call, which is their contract, do you welcome these three ministers into your spiritual community? If so, say, I do. I do. So these three women, although they've been licensed by the denomination, they're ministers. They're not ours yet. So the core council is going to now sign their letters of call, which are their contracts, which I have right here. And after that happens, they will sign the letters of call. And after that happens, they're officially yours, mine, and ours. So I'm asking Liz Fedina, would you please come up here? Liz is the core council chair. It's the second page behind each of these. Thank you. Now, I would like to ask Reverend Megan to come up here. Reverend Doris, go back. Reverend Maureen. Now, the thing about a minister is the minister gets their ordination stole after being in service for a minimum of 3 years, where they do ceremonies, baptisms, rites of passage, which is what we say they're at births and hospitals and marriages and deaths, or what we say they hatch, patch, match, and dispatch. After which they teach classes and do Sunday sermons and Wednesday sermons, and basically they have been put through the hoops, after which time they apply for ordination, and then they have to have a panel of their peers determine whether or not they're ready for the lifelong ministry, at which time they will receive a stole like this. But in the meantime, if your witnesses will stand behind you, and since we do not have stoles to place on you, I now charge you, Reverend Megan, with the placing of the hands of your family on your shoulders. I charge you, Reverend Doris, with the placing of your family's hands on your shoulders. I charge you, Reverend Maureen, with the placing of your family's hands on your shoulders, to go forth into the world in the name of Center for Spiritual Living, San Jose, so that all who come in contact with you know that you are women of God by the way you live and move and have your being. Friends, please help me acknowledge our newly rededicated and installed ministerial and practitioner staff. And we have a reception in Fellowship Hall. We're going to need... Kevin to sign. On the phone on Tuesday, is that right? What's that? That's ask her to join. She'll tell you right where they are. I would love to have you on that time. It's going to be good. Hi. Thank you. Do me a favor. Do you know where my inbox is? Thank you. I love you, man.